What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. So this is a reaction kind of video because of a couple of things that happened. I was behind on Ross Coulthardt's Q&A, and I haven't talked to you about the other videos. I am going to give you a small rundown of those videos that Ross released. I watched most of all the interviews. I think two of them I watched them all, but I have a pretty good idea of who's who in this team that Jake Barber is forming. And I talk about this first because today, Mr. Alex Klokus from the SALT event, and he's like one of the members of this Explorers Club. I'm gonna leave a link in the description so you can check it out. He sent it to me actually because I DM'd him an X and he responded to my DM. So we've been going a little back and forth, nothing too crazy, but he seems open and he reads my messages. And I do have some questions because what they're trying to do, although it is a private enterprise and it's privately funded, they're not asking people for money, at least not that I know of. It does seem like to be in a controlled environment. And if you're trying to do something as big as this, there need to be a better explanation of the implications of if these psionic assets actually exist. A specific quote from Jake from this first Skywatcher video with Alex Klokus hosting it. I got this quote from Jake. I think you guys should listen to it so you can see where this could go, because the implications of what he said here are very profound and very even could be dangerous, you know? So here's Jake.
I can tell you that this is not unique to the United States, and it's not unique to the most well-known private partners of the Department of Defense and the intelligence community. There is a global effort and interest in this and a global capability in doing this. Crash recovery is something, and reverse engineering is something that is being done by a number of agencies or organizations worldwide. And I know that because my team has been sought after and offered jobs to go perform our services for employers outside the United States. Yeah.
So yeah, Jake just confirmed that this, what they're doing is something that entities or groups from other countries, not just the US, are also doing. This piloting UAP. And if they already claim that they made them land or invite them to land, what are these groups about? What have they been doing? Or are there other groups that maybe also try and employ psionic assets in a different way? I don't know if you guys remember, but right after my video about the psionic assets, I told you that I was contacted by two people who are referred to themselves as psionic assets, who are kind of a little bit wary of the result that brings them coming out and coming forward. But they did come forward on this video, three of them, I think. And they make some pretty wild claims that, unless we get like actual evidence that they are promising to get, they're just gonna stay as wild claims because they're really wild.
And do you have any idea like how these craft were piloted or kind of controlled?
Well, it was obvious that this crash recovery effort was coordinated with another program that had to do with an interest in how consciousness had an impact or could interface with technology.
Yeah.
We were also invited to be part of a program that dealt with the research and development of the building of a system in which a particular human, not non-human, a particular human with a disposition and talent for manipulating their own consciousness could interface with certain technology. So there's a certain effort to reverse engineer these craft That effort very quickly led to the idea that the power plant for these systems and the interface to manipulate that power plant wasn't done through a mechanical interface of levers of phalanges in order to manipulate control systems. It was done through the mind.
They said that these UAP have different shapes. Some are in shape of a pyramid, others are discs, orbs, all types of shapes. And those are the ones that they can all pilot. And what really surprised me, though, was the fact that Alex Klokus said near the end of the first video that during that night when they were like on a range and summoning these craft, there were multiple reports in the area of UFO sightings, but like a lot. He shows them there. I'm gonna leave the link in the description so you can check it out. You gotta watch this. But I do want to know what's the real end game here. Like, yeah, they're doing this, but they also, I'm guessing, have to explain all the other accounts from these experiencers and other psionics that haven't been that pleasant, because there are. And also, we recently found out that Joseph McMonagle, remote viewer 001, was part of a crash retrieval team. Here's Joe.
I was part of a non-identified flying object recovery team for 15 years, and spent a lot of time at a multitude of different crash sites, and it just the data that we were able to collect, let's say out of 12 different sites, 11 of them were our stuff. Okay. It was clear when you actually got there and looked at the evidence on the ground and looked at the damaged aircraft that something might have collided with and that sort of thing. We were able to find evidence that it was our government or our planes or our advanced weaponry, that sort of thing that the government just didn't want people knowing about. There was one case, however, that seemed to be real. And that's the one case that also seemed to have had a live entity on board. Okay. And, but everything we found the logbook at I think it was the Los Angeles Times. We found the logbook where parts or pieces were logged in and locked in a safe there. We found notes from the person who went out to photograph it. And since the event occurred directly over what's called a dry mine, it's where they shovel dirt into buckets out in the desert and then take it home and wash it out. It was a dry mine, and so we figured it had to be registered, and it was. And we were able to, after about 10 days of searching, find the actual dry mine and see the evidence there. And you could still see where the heavy equipment had come in and moved the object, whatever the object was, and the full impact of how the object wedged into the side of a hill gave the impression that it was oblique and flat, more flat than not. And we even found the aircraft that it collided with, where it augured into the desert 5 miles away and burned. So, but that's the only one that really left any evidence that it might have been real. But it was gone within 24 hours. I mean, they came in with heavy equipment, loaded it on flatbeds, and spirited it off somewhere. It's out in the desert in that big warehouse, with all the boxes and the Ark of the Covenant and all that.
So that means that this has been happening for a while. So If this is the first group that does it outside of all the controlled use ups, unacknowledged special access programs, what will happen? Because I already told you in my previous video, I think there is a narrative control going on. And I would just like to know if this effort from Klokus could be one of those things too, or not. If he responds well and answers all the questions and doubts that people may have, I think that will be satisfying to see. I hope that he does, because this does seem like a really tailored effort, if I could call it something that was really well planned and has great marketing. It's, it's a great product because it is a media product, although you guys are not a media company, but just want to know a few details of what's the real end game here and how aware are you of other things happening with other groups? Are those groups that invited you in or invited you to work with them? Are they from the military, from the government, from world governments? There's a lot of questions that people may have from this. And I want to remain open-minded. I do believe that psi abilities are real. That's the one thing that I believe. I still think that, yes, there is something to the UFO topic, but I've never seen one, But I do try to keep my mind open because I think there is something to it. After I saw Commander Fravor talking about his experience with the Tic Tac, that convinced me, at least, of that there is something to this. What it is, I still don't know. These guys are coming forward with a lot of information that is pretty mind bending, and we gotta keep just analyzing everything they present and maybe dialogue with all of them. Jake Barber being really active on Twitter is a good sign because he responds to comments from just random people. I think that's a good sign because that means he's not hiding. Alex Klokus responding to my DMs, I think, is a good sign as well. He could easily be ignoring me, like many more people within the UFO community who are considered many of them bigwigs. They either have an assistant, you can't really reach them directly. It's kind of hard. Got to be like part of their environment or their circle. At least that's the experience that I've had so far with some of them, not all of them. So them being open and direct and responding to stuff, I think it's a good sign, regardless of whether you believe those claims or that effort or not. Got to look at details, So also another aspect that supports this effort is that there seemed to be like a momentum going on of multiple different stories happening. So there's there's the Ross Coulthard Q&A yesterday, all of those interviews that released. It was just announced that Dumpa Logan was with Jason Sands on Joe Rogan. They just recorded today. So I want to see what that's like. I want to see if Logan will do a similar job that James Fox had on Julian Dory, because I gotta say, James Fox seemed to be wanting to control what came out of Jason Sands' mouth a little bit, because he's worried about his credibility being stained, and I get that completely. But it did seem that way at times during the conversation, especially with the recent claims that Jason Sands made, because those were like really controversial. I get it. So I understand why James Fox was concerned. I get it. But that's happening. So there's a lot of stuff happening. There was the censorship of the Chris Bledsoe story on Sean Ryan. That also happened, and the drones, and it's a lot of stuff. So let me know what you think in the comments about this effort from Jake Barber and Alex Klokus. What do you think about their response to the people through social media? Did they give you a good feeling of what they're doing, or what does this feel like? I want to know from you. So let me know what you think, okay? I'm sure there's more happening, but for now, I'm going to leave you guys until the next video. If you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you can get notified when a new video drops. There's a few links in the description if you want to support the channel in any other way. We have a members channel too. And Psicoactivo is on the KGRA radio feed on the KGRA official website. So you can go there to listen to the audio. And that's it for me. Remember, stay curious. Bye-bye.